This is Hot Street with Benny.
Wow. It's a special day today. Hi there. Welcome to Hot Street Podcast. I bet you could already hear it from the sound of my voice how so excited I am. I'm super excited. I'm excited and sad at the same time, and I'll tell you why. This episode, it's the very last for season 1. Oh my God, this is episode 10 of Hot Street Podcast, and it's been a journey. Boy, oh boy, it has been a journey. And to be honest, I didn't even see myself getting to this particular episode. I didn't know that I was going to pull up with the consistency to, get to the 10th episode. In fact, to the end of a particular season. It's amazing, really. And I think I have my friends and my team to thank for that. Imagine Studios 116. These guys are so amazing. They're podcasters as well, and it's been an amazing journey with them. We've been doing this, we've been putting out content, we've been, talking about different things on each of our podcasts, and it's been so great. To be very honest, I'm so grateful for these guys. I feel like their consistency rubbed off on me. If I was not rolling with them, then I would have gotten weary or tired along the way. But I think that's the power of networking. I think that's also the power of connections and being, connected to the right people, because it's not just about connection and networking. It's actually to network with the right people. When you work with a team that's very solid, that's very goal and vision oriented, they know exactly what they want, and they'll put it together no matter what. And so I really want to thank 116 crew. I love them so much from my heart. They are very special people. Guys, look where we are. It's the final episode. Oh my God. And also, of course, I've got to thank my listeners. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you again. Thank you so much for being so consistent with this podcast. I mean, listening to this girl come here all the time. Thank you so much. It means a world and a lot to me. Now, this is the final episode, and that's for season 1 now, right? And you're going to be here to listen to this. It means a whole lot to me. Thank you so much. From my very first episode where I was talking about God cares about our emotions, you listened. From I'm tired, I don't want to pretend, the second episode, you listen. The third episode, I'm a Christian, but I'm depressed, you listened. Then I heard the 4th episode, which is Dear Overthinker. You were there listening as well. And it's just been amazing. From Dear Overthinker to Let's Rant to Grace in the Greet. Oh my God. From that to Heart Posture. From that to Before You Complain, Remember This. And the previous episode just before this one is Don't Compare, You'll Cry. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm grateful. Deeply grateful to you. I was just thinking about how best do I round off season 1. That's just what I was just thinking to myself. How best do I round off season 1? What do I say? I feel like I've said a lot on this podcast. I've poured my heart into most of the episodes, and I really talked about something that bothered me personally as an individual. And I was just thinking to myself, what exactly do I talk about in this particular, final season, in the finale of season 1? And something just dropped in my heart, in my spirit, and I decided to, let's talk about it. And it's very simple. It's something you do all the time. It's something you've heard. We're talking about introspection today. Yes, introspection. You know that time where you just sit with yourself not necessarily to judge yourself or anything, but basically to understand yourself better. It's asking yourself, how am I really doing beyond what I show other people? That introspecting mood. To be honest, I will tell you the truth. There were days where I didn't really know what to record on the podcast. I didn't know what to talk about. There were days when I felt like if I record this, if I talk about these things, would people really listen? Would people take it? Would I have an audience for what I want to say? Those moments where you keep asking yourself some certain questions. That's really what introspection is about. Now, if there's someone in the Bible who I believe and I feel like he introspects a lot, he sits with himself, he asks the questions about how he feels, basically pouring out his heart to God, is David. It's David. If you read through the book of Psalms from Psalm 1 to 150, you'd read and you'd hear David always talking, always, soul searching, basically, always sitting down with himself. I don't know why, if that's the reason why God called him the man after his own heart, because David was someone who really introspected a lot, and it's really something I love about that particular person, David. And probably if I met him today, the first questions I'm going to ask him is, what usually inspires you before you sit down to write a particular psalm? What inspires you? So, introspection that I'm talking about here is basically sitting with yourself and laying yourself bare to the one who knows you even more than yourself. Like I shared with you, there are days where I didn't really know what I wanted to record. I didn't know how the message was going to be passed, and all that. But here's the thing. One of the things I've learned in all of these episodes that I've recorded, one of the greatest lessons for me, as even the podcaster myself, is I've learned to actually give my emotions to God. I was having a conversation one time. I was really down. It was one of those moments where life would come with its own challenge. And I remember talking to my friend, Emmanuel, and he said something to me that stuck. And he said to me, Benny, you cannot do this by yourself. What you need to do is to surrender. That's how he put it. He said, what you need to do is to surrender, because you can't carry all of this burden yourself, because you just can't. You're human. You can't. And after we had that conversation, I sat with myself, did a bit of introspection, and I realized that this is true. So one of the best things that has happened to me, even from the time I started episode 1 till now, is the fact that I try so much to practice what I preach. I give all of my emotions to God. I surrender totally. I totally surrender. I do. Because I find out that it's just too much of a burden. It's too much of a burden to carry. You see this pressure to be strong, this pressure to, just try to have it figured out. You cannot have it figured out, to be honest. If you want to be honest with yourself, we do not have it figured out. I guess that's the reason why we rely on the help of God always, always to help us through life. So, why I'm sharing this in this final episode on this season is for you to sit down with yourself a bit. Introspect. I know that life can sometimes get very noisy and busy. We're out here we're out here making some kind of impressions. Everybody sees you and they think that, oh, everything is okay. But when last did you really sit with yourself and really just totally surrender to God? Taking all of those things that you're going through, the journey, the process, the challenges, and just surrender it to God. Just give it to Him and go to bed, really. The thing about introspection, what helps us when we introspect is the fact that we get to see how very helpless we are. We get to see that, oh, I cannot do this on my own. I think that's one of the things where when David cries out to God, he tells him stuff, and before you know it, he's back on his feet. Introspecting will make you know that you're a human, and as a human, you're weak, very weak. So it's a time for us to just surrender. Let everything out. Let it go. Hand it over to the one who knows better. Just surrender. If you're not someone who knows how to introspect, if you're not someone who introspects a lot, who sits with yourself, ask yourself some kind of questions, then I hope that this particular episode will push you to start, will push you into sitting down with yourself and asking yourself some of those difficult questions. Looking at your life, seeing where you need to amend it, seeing where you need to fix up, seeing the ones you need to surrender. Because the truth is, I learned from a very wise man of God that when we pray, when there are a prayer that leaves 100 responsibility to God is not sufficient enough. It won't work. There's a part that God has to play. There's a part you have to play. The part you have to play is to sit down with yourself and introspect, process, think. Look at your life and ask yourself the questions, even the ones you've been avoiding. You would find out that there's a lot you need to surrender. So basically, this episode is just to charge you, to ask you, have you sat down with yourself? And after that, are you ready to surrender, really surrender? As we wrap up this season 1, I want you to take a moment and reflect with me. What have I learned about my emotion in this season? I was talking to a friend and they were talking about 2025 and how 2025 has been such a long year. You could sit down and ask yourself, what have I learned about my emotions so far in 2025? The challenges that have come my way this year, this season, what exactly is it trying to teach me? Where am I supposed to work on myself, and where am I supposed to surrender to God? That's one question you would ask yourself. And it's only when you introspect that you might be able to get those answers. How has my relationship with God evolved? That's another question you need to ask yourself. Do you think you're going further away from Him because of all the troubles you have, or do you think you're coming closer to Him? I remember a friend of mine telling me how very tired he is about life and how life has been so challenging. And he said to me, these were not even the promises I saw in the Bible. There are people that when they go through challenges, it pushes them away from God. But I'm hoping that it will draw you closer to Him. Because the truth is, until we get to heaven, there are certain questions we cannot answer for ourselves. There are certain things we cannot have answers for. And so I don't know what it is you're going through. I don't know how this year has been for you. Maybe there are certain questions you want to ask God, why this is happening, why this, I don't have the answer to that. But maybe you should just surrender. And here's another question that is very, very important. when you're introspecting is, what part of me still needs healing, grace, and rest? It's a very important question. What part of me still needs healing, grace, and rest? There are certain aspects of our life that we need to heal. We need to ask God to come in and heal us from it. There's also a part of our life where we need to give ourselves grace, because we just have to give ourselves grace. We've never lived this life before, so you just have to take it easy on yourself. And then the final part, there's a part of our life we just need to rest. And that's the part where you just need to surrender. No dragging, no complaining, no sulking, no getting into depression, no being anxious. Just rest, surrender, and let it. Remember something. Introspection is not about fixing yourself. You can't fix yourself. Only God can. But it's about understanding yourself, understanding where you are playing a part in your own suffering. And so where you need to just hand it over. God is never in a hurry. We are. God is never in a hurry. If there's one thing that I've learned personally on this podcast, even in this season, is that God truly cares about our inner world. Our emotions, our thoughts, our fears, even our healing. He's not in a hurry. He just wants us to grow, honestly, to grow. So, I hope that at the end of this, you'd sit down with yourself, have some real talk. Know where you have to fix yourself up. Know where you have to rest and surrender the rest to God. But hey, this season might be coming to an end. Season 1 might be coming to an end. But hey, I want you to know that Heart Street is a journey that definitely will still continue. Every time you choose to feel, you choose to reflect or pray honestly, Heart Street is just something that you should always remember. So thank you so much for walking the street with me in season 1. I hope to return in season 2 with something better, something more inspiring, something more heartfelt. And yeah, I've gotten a couple of people ask me about videos that is in the works, and you definitely get to hear something from me. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And more than anything, I hope and I pray that our hearts continuously be anchored in God and be aligned with Him. This is where I take a bow for season 1 to return to your ears and your faces, hopefully, with season 2. Meanwhile, you could follow me on Instagram at Benny Dimples. You could also follow me on X at _Benny Dimples. I'll be so glad you did. And probably we'll catch up online. So this is me, Benny, signing off from the season 1 of Heart Street Podcast. Until next time, stay very kind to your heart. Bye.
Heart Street with Benny was proudly brought to you by Imagine Studios 116.